It's really a daily routine, not pretending to be forced or hitting the face is not cool. Currently writing about occupational science popularization in the early stage. Pokémon Science Popularization was the protagonist's personal runway, followed by group portraitsZhou fan was tasked by Arthas and will be sent to a modern society that has just been connected to the world of Pokémon. To educate the people of that society about Pokémon, to create a Daoguan Alliance competition with the country, to establish a profession, to start a magnificent competition, and to welcome a new era. Demining. Not pretending to be forced, not hitting the face, is not cool writing either. Although the protagonist is the most powerful in this parallel world, there are still its chosen sons in this parallel world. If you want to see the protagonist who is the most powerful, lucky, and invincible, you don't need to watch it daily. The mythless beast will be encountered later, but it will not be subdued in order to integrate Pokémon. There may be private settings in the worldview. settingNo female lead. No female lead. No female lead. Chapter 1. Appearance. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Look at the introduction, ask for the introduction. It's daily, roughly. Many people roast about this mine clearance, must see everyone's comments and summary. 1. The content and branch lines on the opposite bank are too dark too. Some readers are concerned about the appearance of villains, although I guarantee that except for the sidelines, the villains in the main text will not appear in 3 consecutive chapters. 3. The protagonist's tool person. 4. The writing style is average. Hey, new author, just make do with it. Can't we just focus on getting together and getting separated? 5. Leave it for you to write on your own. Some chapters that you are not interested in can be skipped directly. For example, the content on the opposite side and some sidelines may seem a bit oppressive from feedback, and some who cannot accept the villain can also withdraw. After writing over 200 chapters, I suddenly realized that what I want to write about is the daily changes that will occur in human society after the arrival of Pokémon. Below, thorny. A sharp electric current suddenly appeared in the sky, and a semi-transparent screen gradually floated before people's eyes. What is this? Crouching slot holography. What kind of inventory video is this? Is the novel shining into reality? High-dimensional life indeed exists. Is technology so advanced now? What are these Huagua people shouting about inventory editing? I don't know what they're saying, said the person with obvious foreign appearances, looking at the empty sky with nothing on their face. The figure of a young man appeared on a transparent screen in mid-air. He fiddled up and down for a while and said, "Have you started shooting 3D dragons?" He seemed to see the panicked crowd through the screen, so he waved his hand friendly and said hello. Sorry everyone, it's not inventory or editing, it's just a way to educate everyone about Pokémon, which is what you call Warcraft. By the way, my name is Zhou Fan and I come from a parallel world. What is he talking about? What is a parallel world? It's human. I'll tell you which high-tech company is doing advertising. Using Warcraft for advertising. So brave. Is it fake? With this technology, there's no need for advertising. Some foreigners glanced at each other and helplessly opened their palms, completely unaware of what had happened. Is it a prank show from Huagua? Can't it be the invention of Huagua, only the holographic screen they can see? In a spacious room lined with countless high-definition screens, researchers dressed in white are gathering data everywhere, busy and not on the ground. Haven't we found out yet? What is that thing in mid-air? Is it really holographic? The leader standing in front of the central controller was a bit anxious. Data cannot be searched. There are no abnormalities. As time passed, the leader's expression became increasingly urgent. Report. A police officer rushed in with his phone in hand. Tell me something quickly. The leader quickly stepped forward and pressed him, urging him urgently. Report to the leader. The president has sent a message that no extreme actions can be taken against the screen, and a video of the screen can be burned at any time. What? What did the president say? The leader suddenly turned his head to look at the display screen. The alien claiming to come from a parallel world is slowly riding a bicycle towards a direction. That is the forest with the largest scale and range of warcraft owned by China. Yes, warcraft. About half a year ago, black whirlpools of varying sizes appeared around the world, some as small as the mouth of a bowl, while others could swallow a skyscraper. After experiencing the initial panic, people gradually became accustomed to it. After all, they also had to eat and didn't have time to pay attention to these inexplicable things. The world is vast, the work is the greatest. Don't you have money to drink the northwest wind? However, 3 months ago, the black hole suddenly spewed out various strange lands, including grasslands, swamps, forests, and even volcanoes. People panicked again, but in the blink of an eye, those lands were all digested and dissolved into the ground, and then the ground would grow exponentially. If we observe the Earth from satellites, we will find that it has expanded several times, and even grew larger over time. Faced with the exponentially growing territory, radiation signals from various countries have become intermittent, and the travel time of both planes and cars has increased several times. Everyone knows the destructive power that occurs when the Earth suddenly expands, and many people are trying to return to their hometowns to welcome death, resulting in massive traffic congestion around the world. But when countries tried to save the Earth, they strangely discovered that the world was normal. They just didn't wait for them to be happy for too long, and various strange creatures emerged from those swollen places. After a certain period of vigilance and investigation, they found that these creatures all possess magical powers, such as water spraying, fire spitting, some friendly, and some violent. It looks like a strange Warcraft in a novel. The country is worried about these blank creatures, and it can be said that their hair has turned white. The leader suddenly walked over to the table and picked up a document. That is a copy distributed by the president of M country to the leaders of various countries. Due to M country's extreme hostile measures against those Warcraft, there have been several incidents of Warcraft attacks on cities abroad, and many people have been attacked by Warcraft. The president of M country calls on leaders of all countries to unite together, eliminate Warcraft together, and overcome difficulties together. Seeing this, the leader suddenly widened his eyes and said, "What did the alien just say he was going to do?" The police officer was taken aback for a moment and quickly replied, "Are you going to educate those Warcraft?" On the other side, Zhou Fan stood at the entrance of the forest and looked at the soldiers who were on high alert. After he placed his hand on the elf ball at his waist, he could clearly see several soldiers gripping their weapons tightly, their expressions particularly panicked. The unknown power of Zhou Fan spread, and the doubts and fears in the emotions of the soldiers across from him slowly spread. The confrontation between the two sides also made the people in front of the screen a bit nervous, with sparse barrage scrolling on the screen. I can't believe that the sleeping trough didn't take direct action. How strict the management there is usually. The anchor's background is not small. Is it really an alien? Is it fake? Where are aliens? National hype. Zhou Fan had a gentle smile on his face, appearing somewhat composed, but he still raised his hands and made a gesture of surrender. I really have no malicious intent. I just came to do a science popularization for you as agreed. Why don't you ask your boss? Faced with the vigilant expression of the guards, Zhou Fan smiled lightly. To be honest, you can't stop me. At present, the chapters are divided into Pokemon Science Popularization, completed, Occupational Science Popularization, completed, Campus Life and Career Task Science Popularization, ongoing. Chapter 2. Start of Science Popularization. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A few urgent footsteps sounded. Seeing the person coming, the netizens in front of the screen took a deep breath. The screen in front of Zhou Fan was also constantly scrolling text. Sleeping slots, sleeping slots, sleeping slots. Why is the Prime Minister here? From this hologram, it looks like the Prime Minister is in front of me. Zhou Fan turned his gaze to those leaders, with a friendly smile on his face. The extremely small current made Zhou Fan's ears involuntarily move. Let him in. The leading prime minister signaled to the soldiers at the entrance to make concessions and escorted Zhou Fan to the forest entrance. Thank you, we will keep an eye on your science popularization. Thank you. However, this kind of energy is a bit unbearable, and I plan to find a live streaming platform later. Zhou Fan glanced at the president. So, if you have any doubts, please contact us. The Prime Minister handed out a few business cards under the puzzled gaze of the neighboring leader, with a very gentle and friendly attitude. We will provide you with the highest quality platform. Netizens who have never dared to emit barrage pollution since the Prime Minister began speaking, did not come to their senses until Zhou Fan walked into the forest. Sleeping trough, I don't know who started around first, and everyone screamed in surprise. Countless videos have been circulating online, and while everyone is amazed, they are also starting to look forward to it. Their eyes followed the screen, walking under the vast sea of trees, and many faint figures flickered past the lush branches. An unknown tone echoes in the forest, yet remains silent as Zhou Fanlu passes by. Zhou Fan boredly glanced at the screen. The barrage of barrage content had long been overwhelming and he was taken aback by the enthusiasm of these people. Everyone calm down, I will randomly select a few questions to answer. Zhou Fan felt the 3D dragon tumbling in the sea of data and exclaimed that it was not good. Anchor, are you engaging in any activities with the country? All parallel worlds are deceiving us, right? Is the anchor really an alien? No, I am a parallel world person, a human. Zhou Fan felt very helpless about the netizens' imagination. Are there any Warcraft in parallel worlds? Yes, and Pokémon are very popular. Pokémon. Is that the way the host world refers to these Warcraft? This title is a bit cute. Zhou Fan nodded and explained in a timely manner, their full name is Pokémon or Pokémon. They are creatures with incredible power. It's unbelievable. The cat I picked up yesterday can breathe fire. But that proudness is the same as that of the cat. It's so cute. My dad caught a blue turtle while fishing a while ago, and when he brought it home, my mom said she wanted to stew it, but he cried uncontrollably. Now he's the boss of my family. Laugh to death, are you so cute? I haven't seen many strange creatures near my house. I don't know what they are, the anchor quickly introduced them. Let me take a look first. Zhou Fan scanned around and noticed the raised cracks on the ground. The 3D dragon also cooperates to transfer the image. Hello, Zhou Fan took out a Pokémon food and knocked on the ground. A peculiar creature emerged from the soil, with an oval brown head and a big red nose, looking a bit ugly and cute. Snake. Are you sure the snake has a long nose? This Pokémon is called a mole and is a ground-type Pokémon that is good at digging and cultivating. When a mole passes by, the soil will be appropriately turned over, making it the most suitable field for cultivation. Zhou Fan handed it the food in his hand and said, "Can you chat with me? Can aliens talk to these Warcraft? Didn't he say he was human?" Feeling the abundant energy in this food, the mole agreed with a twinkling star eye and even called out to many of its peers. Zhou Fan. He manipulated the 3D dragon to scan the mole around, allowing the person in front of the screen to better understand it. The mole rat can be said to be a very suitable Pokémon for cultivation. However, it will bite the roots of trees when digging underground, which needs to be prevented. As it stays in the dark underground for many years, it also doesn't like the too harsh sunlight. Zhou Fan explained the characteristics of the mole rat one by one, and many people who were looking at the screen outside even began to remember their notes. Anchor, what are the ground attributes? The 3D dragon laboriously filters through a vast amount of data and selects the appropriate questions to present at the top of the screen. Just like some element attributes in the game, Pokémon also has these attributes, with a total of 18 types. General, Combat, Flight, Poison, Ground, Rock, Insect, Ghost, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass, Electricity, Superpowers, Ice, Dragon, Evil, and Fairy. 3D Dragon has brought up 18 different attribute images, and everyone has taken screenshots. It looks much more serious than attending class. Is it a mole? The leaders in the conference room discussed with each other. If we get along well, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. It's too difficult to control. Is there no way to tame it? That alien seems to be able to understand those Warcraft words. Where did the president find out about the news? How do I feel like the president knows everything? That's a citizen of another parallel world. How do you call him an alien? The president, sitting in the front seat, spoke solemnly. I specifically invited him to help us. The president has a headache. He didn't expect to experience such a magical thing. When Earth's evolution was about to fail, it absorbed the power of a passing creator god, which was originally intended to be sent to a parallel world with the same origin next door. It is also said that in the parallel world of the same origin next door, everyone knows about this creature. In order to quickly gain a favorable position, he promptly expressed his willingness to pay the price and ensure that Huagua had prophetic power in this regard, even if it was only a short 1 or 2 years. The appearance of that agent also made him relax a lot. He has black hair, black eyes, and yellow skin, and he speaks Huagua dialect. Even if it's just people from parallel countries, can you give them some water? Those who skipped the beginning of Chapter 1 on mine clearance can take a look. Chapter 3. Gophers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The senior officials of the country are holding a solemn meeting, but Zhou Fan is still queuing up to distribute the fruits. One by one, the ground squirrels lined up neatly, and after receiving the food, they propped their heads up and happily moved themselves away. A bit silly and cute. It's a bit cute. I think I've seen this around my house before. It has eaten all the roots of vegetables and caused a huge loss. If it weren't for its small and agile nature, it would probably have been killed by the elders in my village. I feel like I can feed him like this with the anchor and ask him to help dig the ground or something. The village head of a certain village scratched his head. This child has a good idea, but how can he get in touch? They have driven that group of things called hamsters in their village several times. Don't they hold grudges? Village chief, those animals called hamsters can farm. Yeah. It seems to be planted very well. The village committee rushed to the village chief's house and began to discuss with various voices. Previously, it was because they discovered that these sudden creatures would gnaw on the vegetables they planted that they were very angry and drove them away. Now that we know they are good helpers for farming and cultivation, do they really just need to pay a little bit of food to get help? Aren't those old scalpers and machines at home the same way? I also need to feed the cows grass, tidy up, maintain the machines, refuel, and it's troublesome. Judging from the appearance of those ground squirrels, it seems that they can be completely free-range. Can they be raised? The village chief shook his head and said, it's too early to draw a conclusion now. We don't know what the situation is, let's wait for national policies to come out first. But a village committee awkwardly smiled, attracting curious glances from everyone. He could only grit his head and say, Shaoli, who just arrived a week ago, has already set off for the direction where the hamsters left. He said he wants to discuss with those hamsters whether they can cooperate. What? The village chief covered his chest, looking almost suffocated. He roared, Shaoli doesn't know, don't you also know? Those Warcraft don't even know what danger there is, just let him run over like this. Let's talk. Those Warcraft can't communicate. The village committee on the side quickly fed the village chief a few pills and waved at the others, saying, hurry up, go and call Shaoli back. How can we clean up dangerous things? Several village committees quickly responded and quickly returned to the village to gather manpower, heading towards the direction of the ground squirrel. But when they were halfway there, they met Xiaoli, who said he wanted to negotiate with the groundhog. He even had a few familiar ground squirrels by his side. Xiaoli. One of the village committees exclaimed in uncertainty. The young man known as Xiaoli gave him a strange glance. What's going on with this tone? It's like being taken away. The residents behind him waved anxiously at him, hoping that Xiaoli would come back quickly. It was too dangerous to be around this warcraft. However, Xiaoli didn't know why, so he followed suit and waved. Villagers. This unlucky child, Di-gu. Di-gu. Accompanied by the sound of the ground squirrel, the residents also clenched their sticks in their hands. They usually use this to beat ground mice. Both sides stared at each other without compromise, and the atmosphere became tense for a moment. Wait, everyone speak up. Xiaoli quickly stood up and stood between the two sides. Uncle and aunt, leaders. Don't get excited yet. I have already negotiated the terms with these hamsters. We are responsible for their food, and they provide us with arable land. The treatment will be 5 days off and 2 days off, and we will strictly control the time to ensure that they are not tired. The leading mole let out an angry sound, as if it had snorted, and then turned its head to one side. The village committee and villagers didn't expect to really negotiate terms with the hamster. They looked at each other and forgot their reaction for a moment. On the contrary, Xiaoli applauded on his own. Okay. A great achievement, his resume will become more beautiful again. Chapter 4. Be fearless. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The audience in front of the screen was extremely curious as they watched Zhou Fan distribute food. How do you feel like the anchor's food is endless? Space equipment. Anchor, submitting this is not better than popularizing science about Warcraft. What's being fed? Can we do it? The anchor is so cold and aloof, they don't even interact. Zhou Fan glanced at the barrage and smiled helplessly. This is also my first time being a live streamer. Please forgive me. Because the promotion of this method is very extensive, that's why this method was used. At the end of this time, we will also consider the issue of space equipment, but this food is made by ourselves and the ingredients are. Zhou Fan picked a brightly colored fruit from the nearby tree and casually wiped it before stuffing it into his mouth. The people in front of the screen were all frightened by Zhou Fan's actions. After all, in their consciousness, the more vibrant things are, the more dangerous they are, let alone fruits from unknown locations. Does the anchor have any toxic immunity? Are these fruits edible? This thing looks strangely shaped. This is called mango, it's very sweet. The Pokémon food just now contains this fruit, but it can also be consumed by humans. Zhou Fan thought for a moment and continued, this kind of fruit can also restore Pokémon stamina in the Pokémon world, and it is also beneficial for capturing Pokémon. It's not a problem to treat it as a game prop. Wait, can Pokémon be caught? How amazing! The key is that Pokémon can be captured. Are they the kind of pets in the game? Zhou Fan smiled but did not reply, allowing questions and surprises to fly all over the screen. Di-gu. Duh. The sharp voices echoed in the direction that the mole had just left. Zhou Fan frowned and quickly ran towards it. In the eyes, it was a groundhog who had just left with food in high spirits, but now he is unconscious. Many blue creatures are picking up Pokémon food scattered by ground squirrels around. Lulili Marilu. What a lovely Pokémon. I love you. Thieves. Bandits. This is the food that the anchor just gave to those hamsters, right? This kind of Warcraft is very cute. The law of the jungle is the law of nature. How could it be? Zhou Fan was greatly surprised. The Marilu tribe is also a gentle race, and it rarely happens to snatch other Pokémon food. Are these blue things good in character? Didn't they just grab something to eat? It's Mary Lula, and Lulili. Which one is it? The hamster is so pitiful, the anchors are staring at you. Be careful. Zhou Fan looked at Marilu, who was guarding the food with a wary face, and took out a can of Pokémon food from his backpack. This is a more suitable Pokémon food for you. Can you return the hamsters to them? Zhou Fan opened the food jar and placed it in place, then retreated back to a safe distance. Luli. The two Marilu leaders exchanged a few words, and one of them approached and picked up the jar, carefully tasting it. Lu Li, looking at the satisfied gaze of Marilu, everyone knew it was a good thing and gave up the food snatched from the mole, surrounding the jar in groups. Lulu is Pokémon food, it's been a long time since I ate it. They are good humans. A few small Luli pounced pitifully in front of Zhou Fan, their big eyes flickering with tears. Anchor, hurry up and give it some food. So cute. So cute. I want to raise it. Can the anchor help me catch one? Money is not a problem. This is the pet that a strong man should keep. Zhou Fan picked them up and smiled at the screen, but the smile didn't reach his eyes, making him look a bit hairy. Noticing the appearance of the anchor, the person behind the screen couldn't help but rub their arms, and the barrage gradually quieted down. Looking at the quiet screen, Zhou Fan finally spoke up, from just now on, I wanted to say that there seems to be some deviation in your definition of Pokémon. They can't be called pets. Zhou Fan handed a beautiful blue heart-shaped food to Marilu and pointed to a tree, saying, can we use the most powerful water gun there? Marilu nodded with her eyes lit up, and with great momentum, she spewed out a high-pressure water flow from her mouth, directly piercing through the tree that needed to be hugged by two people. I don't know who held their breath in front of the screen. I know you've seen many powerful Pokémon in the news, and you know their strength, so seeing these seemingly harmless Pokémon doesn't seem like much of a deal. Zhou Fan crouched down and handed the blue love bean to it. This Marilyn is an uncultivated wild Pokémon, with a strength of about medium to low, he said. Zhou Fan's hand touched his waist, caressing the small red and white ball. Don't underestimate Pokémon. They are not pets, they are our companions and comrades in arms. Chapter 5. Tyrannosaurus Rex. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. What? With a remarkable expression on his face. Why bother with our affairs when he's just an alien? Don't even allow a joke. I don't know who muttered a few words in front of the screen, but I didn't expect these words to be directly connected to the screen and posted, appearing particularly dazzling in the empty screen. The 3D dragon in the data looks restless and eager to do something. Zhou Fan quickly comforted and said, forget it, you can't expect everyone to be good people, can you? This place is different from the humans in Pokémon World, and there are actually people in Pokémon World who treat Pokémon as pets and enslaved objects. Now we're just giving them a warning in advance. The initial impression implanted is much more firm than later brainwashing. In fact, without the need for the 3D dragon to act, the people in front of the other screens have already volunteered to greet those few people from all aspects. Indirectly, many keyboard warriors have exploded. The 3D dragon looked at the rolling data around it and was amazed. The human vocabulary was so rich, and the same sentence had different meanings. It had some enlightenment and tried to absorb this data, nodding incessantly. Don't learn some strange things. Zhou Fan ignored the verbal abuse on the screen and sent them away after curing the hamsters. Take me to your habitat. I should be able to help you. Zhou Fan said to Marilu. From just now on, he began to wonder that Marilu, a race with a gentle personality, was the favorite of many young children and would not compete for food from other Pokémon. Unless they encounter difficulties that lead to food shortages and have to compete for food survival from other Pokémon. From the 3D dragon scan, there is a large lake not far ahead, which should be enough for these Marilu to survive. Marilu and Luli looked at each other, still taking Zhou Fan towards the direction of the lake. Analysis of powerful energy fluctuations, energy source. Storm carp dragon, so that's why, is it a Tyrannosaurus? Dragon. What dragon? Is it a dragon that I know? There are dragons in Pokémon creatures. Dragon. The audience who were just fighting suddenly regained their senses, and the barrage of bullets covered the entire screen once again. It's not a dragon. Or in other words, it has nothing to do with appearance, but there are indeed dragons in the category of Pokémon. Zhou Fan also quite understands everyone's love for dragons, but there are not many dragon-type Pokémon in Pokémon that meet their expectations. Did the anchor not listen carefully when introducing the 18 attributes just now? I didn't listen carefully when the teacher emphasized the key points in class. I'm laughing to death. Although the anchor said it's a dragon, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a dragon, it may be a Western dragon or dinosaur. Western dragons and dinosaurs are also good, I won't choose. Zhou Fan walked with a few Marilu towards the lake. On the road, I occasionally encounter a few panicked Pokémon. That blue Pokémon is called Yubo, which has both water and ground attributes. In your terms, it is amphibious, living in cold water. This colorful Pokémon, which looks like a flower, is called Beautiful Flower, and loves dancing very much. This is Bobo and Like. They. Zhou Fan comforted those Pokémon one by one and casually introduced them to the audience in front of the screen. The wide variety of Pokémon dazzled viewers. Some people's originally standardized notes have become ghost symbols. I recorded it directly for him, hehe. As a result, everyone took notes and didn't have time to shoot bullet comments. From now on, Barrage will be my world. These little Pokémon friends are so kind, the big guys in the news are so irritable. My family has a cat wearing gold coins, and it feels like it's no different from an ordinary cat. Zhou Fan and the Pokémon hiding behind him gradually approached the lake. Roar. The roar surged from all directions, and the power could be felt through the screen. A circle of ripples formed by the lake, and Bakmeng, who was originally hiding behind Zhou Fan, fled in fear, creating a chaotic scene for a moment. Zhou Fan frowned. This movement giant waves rose from the water, and even the gentle waves fell from over 10 meters, turning into sharp swords that hurt people. Waves rained down on me, and even Zhou Fan's figure was lost in the view of the screen. Is the anchor in the slot okay? Oh my god, I'm scared to death. What's coming out? I won't kill anyone, will I? Just say these Warcraft are not good things. Tisk, it's overturned, isn't it? The faint green light bloomed from the waterfall and finally transformed into a semi-spherical green transparent light shield, enveloping Zhou Fan. As the water flow receded, everyone finally saw the deep purple monster that protected Zhou Fan. Sharp forelimbs resembling bone spurs, with sharp teeth shining with cold light, can carry the wings of a hurricane with a slight flap, enveloping Zhou Fan. Zhou Fan, who was protected and unharmed, thankfully touched the neck of the deep purple monster and looked up at the fierce carp dragon, which was over 10 meters high. Are you going to have a fight? Chapter 6. Evolution. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The audience on the screen looked handsome with the appearance of the purple monster, and their fear of the huge koi dragon diminished. WCCC. This body. This appearance. Whispering, starting from today, this is my sneaky chicken. What kind of ghosts are all up there? This is too handsome, isn't it? More people were shocked by the towering size of the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the intimidating power that could be felt through the screen. Do we need to summon Ultraman in this situation? The group in foreign news is much smaller than me. If he's a vegetarian, I'll unilaterally decide that this is my lifelong act of stealing a big chicken. It's really a dragon. This is the dragon. I have taken photos and am ready to offer it up. The leaders in the national parliament are also urgently retrieving information on two monsters. The blue creature that Zhou Fan called the Tyrannosaurus Rex had appeared in groups around cherry blossoms before. They could spit out huge energy beams from their mouths, and their temperament looked extremely violent. Although ultimately bombed to death by missiles from Sakura, it also caused huge damage to the surrounding coastal areas. Although there is only one now, with its body shape placed there and the intimidating power that can make one's knees soften even through the screen, no one will underestimate it. When Zhou Fan was submerged by the waterfall, the meeting also planned to immediately deploy missiles to help. Although it would cause a blow to the ecology, it is obvious that Zhou Fan's value is greater. Fortunately, Zhou Fan was fine, and even a shark-shaped monster that looked very powerful appeared beside him. Do you have any information about this monster? Go check it out. Report. No relevant information found. It's an undiscovered warcraft. Zhou Fan did not detect any excess energy when entering. We cannot rule out the possibility of summoning directly. Magic. The conference room was in chaos and chaos. On the other hand, Zhou Fan is still facing off against the Baoli dragon. Both sides were staring at each other tightly. Only scattered words drifted across the screen. I'm also so nervous. Can the anchor have played it before? Anchor, come on. The atmosphere gradually became anxious, and just as the audience in front of the screen kept praying for the anchor, Zhou Fan suddenly spoke up. Then let's live in peace. Then the Tyrannosaurus also quickly nodded. The person in front of the screen. I took off my pants. No, I was nervous for so long, and it ended like this. The tense atmosphere just now. Anchor cowardly. What agreement was reached? Spiritual link. There's no way, it's better for each of us to take a step back. Zhou Fan smiled at the screen and then took out a pack of square things from his backpack and scattered them into the lake. Those things drifted and swayed with the water ripples, and finally were swallowed by the faint red carp below the water surface. Then they saw the fierce carp dragon, who had just been on guard, smiling and squinting its eyes. Ah! Is this also a friendly Pokémon? It's a bit cute. Where's cute? Zhou Fan was startled by the barrage and quickly advised, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is truly a ferocious Pokémon. You can't approach it until you have the power to defeat him. The 3D dragon control screen scanned the entire koi dragon. Just now, because our strength is a bit stronger than theirs, just like wild beasts in the wild will weigh the pros and cons when encountering opponents with similar strength. Because I'm afraid of being attacked by other creatures after being seriously injured. I see. The typical Tyrannosaurus Rex is 5.6 meters tall, but this one is actually over 10 meters tall. And these soon-to-evolve Carp Kings, are they really the overlord Pokémon? This name is very domineering. Is it the kind of racial leader? Ordinary ones are so tall. Almost, this should have just become the hegemon, without any companions, so I just retreated. Zhou Fan took the opportunity to introduce the existence and abilities of the dominant Pokémon, making the national team behind the screen's eyes skip a beat. Then he casually scooped out a Carp King from the lake and tossed it around, even fiddling with it with his hand and displaying it on the screen. This Pokémon is called the Carp King and can survive in any water body. It is one of the weakest Pokémon. The screen once again flashed with many words of agreement. That's right, that's right. I encountered it while fishing and it scared me, but I didn't expect it to be like an ordinary fish. There's still such a weak one. Does Pokémon also have an ecosystem? My grandfather brought it to eat. It's all bones. Zhou Fan put the Carp King back into the lake and casually sprinkled a few more blocks. This time, the school of fish did not compete, but gathered together as if waiting for orders. With the long roar of the Tyrannosaurus, several Carp Kings with obvious scales and stronger bodies than other fish swam out. They digest one for a while before turning to eat the other, as if in a precise ritual. Zhou Fan reminded the screen, the energy is almost there, don't blink. The next step is to witness miracles. As soon as the words fell, a carp king stopped swimming and suddenly burst into a dazzling light. Its body seemed to be stretched and thickened by invisible hands, with sharp armor growing on its cheeks, and its gaze gradually becoming fierce. Finally, the audience in front of the screen watched helplessly as it transformed from a fish that could be slaughtered by anyone to a chilling water monster in the news. They quieted down for a while, then burst out with more enthusiasm. There are too many slots. I don't know where to start from. WCCCC. Carp leaping over the dragon gate. What is this? Mom, help. There are several of those fish in the river on my end. The appearance of a Tyrannosaurus seemed to have activated some switch, and the remaining ones all lit up with white light. Most Pokémon go through these stages, some can go through them several times, and each time this change occurs, they become even stronger. Zhou Fan curled his lips towards the screen, and behind him was a gradually formed blue giant beast. This transformation of form is called evolution. Chapter 7. Elf Ball. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Many leaders in the conference room have their hearts trembling. They have caught many red carp called the Carp King. I thought these creatures could provide something valuable, but the process of prying open the scales of this fish is very laborious and cannot be consumed, even because they are all hard bones. It is very difficult to extract cells. The only advantage is strong vitality and very fast reproduction speed. And seeing the growth of these fish, thinking about the damage caused by the cherry blossoms. And then counting the number of these fish schools, the leaders almost couldn't breathe. Calm down, according to common sense, such a powerful race cannot have such a large number. The leader pinched his nose in distress. The existence of these creatures is inherently illogical, isn't it? I don't know who muttered, but everyone nodded very tacitly. That's right, that's right. On the screen, several circles smaller than the Tyrannosaurus, known as the Tyrannosaurus Rex, appeared one by one in people's sight. But the Pokémon on the screen were unusually less afraid, and some even cheered with excitement. Faced with the audience's confusion, Zhou Fan also explained, the hegemon Pokémon will maintain the safety of the territory and its people. But this Tyrannosaurus Rex has only evolved to half its size, and it needs to have its own population to be considered a true Tyrannosaurus Rex. Previously, it was because the little brothers of this hegemon were about to evolve but lacked energy, which drove away other Pokémon who would consume energy food. But from now on, this group of Tyrannosaurus will become their protective umbrella, so there's no need to be afraid. Is this the key point? Those fish have turned into dragons. Can someone save us? There are many such fish in my river. Zhou Fan looked at the screen, swiping over for help, feeling somewhat helpless. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is also considered a very powerful Pokémon in Pokémon. If every Carp King could evolve into a Tyrannosaurus Rex, not only would humans not be able to survive, but other Pokémon would not be able to survive for now. The Carp King that can evolve into a Tyrannosaurus is 1 in a million. If you randomly catch a Carp King, the probability of having evolutionary potential is not much higher than buying a lottery ticket. After listening to Zhou Fan's explanation, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and the leaders felt both relieved and regretful. If these Carp Kings can evolve freely and be controlled by them, forget it. Stop dreaming. Zhou Fan bid farewell to these Pokémon and continued walking towards the forest. In fact, the hegemon Pokémon only exists on islands in another world. I don't know why it also exists on the mainland, but it may also be due to the influence of the fusion environment. Can the anchor introduce this around you? It's so cool. The people on the screen are pestering Zhou Fan, making noise. They have been paying attention to this purple dinosaur for a long time. It's my companion. The fierce biting land shark. The fierce biting land shark is a type of Pokémon with a fierce personality, capable of flying in the sky at a speed no less than that of jet fighters, with prey being targeted having nowhere to escape. Combat power is also considered to be at a very high level in the world of Pokémon. The introduced fierce biting land shark waved its claws in coordination. The sound of breaking through the air while waving makes one's scalp tingle uncontrollably. I wanted to ask before how the host's world was tamed. Making these Pokémon companions. I would like to know if the anchor is really an alien. Me. Can the anchor do magic? Why did this fierce land-biting shark suddenly appear? Zhou Fan thought for a moment, and indeed everyone cares. Let's first popularize the Pokémon Ball. He took out a large box from his backpack, which was neatly arranged with over 20 types of spheres. He picked up the most classic red and white balls and showed them. These are the props for capturing Pokémon. We collectively refer to them as Pokémon balls or Pokémon balls. They are balls specifically designed to capture and preserve Pokémon. Indeed, it can be captured. I want it. Haha, why isn't it Pokémon ball? It makes sense, can the anchor sell it? I want it. I'm going crazy. I'm going to catch the Tyrannosaurus Rex. They have many names, such as Pokémon, Pet Sprites, Pokémon, and so on. The red and white ball in my hand is the most basic Pokémon ball and also the cheapest and most commonly used one. No one here. Only you have it in this world, Anchor. I'll take that box. Anchor, please quote me a price. In the conference room, the leaders learned of this news and quickly asked the anchor on the screen if they were willing to sell the Pokémon ball. Afterwards, I will provide the drawings to the country, but the main raw material for these Pokémon is fruits. Currently, only Pokémon appear, and planting and making them are difficult, so we will have to wait for some time. I can also provide physical items, but it will take time. Please. How long will it take? Each person costs 1.3 billion. I have a friend who is dying of cancer and wants to touch a Pokémon ball before he dies. The country, hurry up. Chapter 8. The World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhou Fan's remarks caused another uproar, and the leader sighed helplessly. Pay attention to Zhou Fan's movements at any time, and bring him over immediately after he comes out. Has the news spread? Not too much. The old man on the left was a bit unbelievable. In fact, currently only screens have appeared within our country. Even if they have been spread overseas, those people still think it is a new technology in our country. Just now, the president of M country also called to inquire about our holographic technology. The speed of understanding is abnormal. It seems that those guys are not really isolationist either. They are well aware that Zhou Fan's appearance has brought a brand new change to the world. From the power of those Pokémon, perhaps in the near future, it may not be the force of technology that can influence the world's discourse power. This is the Master Ball, also known as the Head Ball. The leader of all the elf balls is very rare, and there are basically no Pokémon that you cannot win. The effect is a 100% chance to win. Because I only have this one won't be sold. It won't be sold in the future either. Zhou Fan gave a detailed introduction to over 20 types of Pokémon balls. The variety of Pokémon balls with different effects has caught people's attention. I'm bloated, I don't even have a Pokémon. I'm still thinking about what Pokémon ball to buy. No. We didn't even make the most ordinary Pokémon ball and thought about picking it. I have elves at home. I want to buy them this. How brave the upstairs sleeper is. Although people knew from the very beginning that Pokémon were also strong and weak, and some of their personalities were very peaceful, as long as they were not touched, nothing would happen to them. But not many people have the courage to raise them. Before Zhou Fan's popularization, most people adopted a cautious and indifferent attitude towards these creatures. What if we take hostile measures from the beginning? I don't know. It may take a long time to forget the hatred between both sides, right? Please refer to the next door. Thank you. This week, Fan also discovered, or rather deserving of, his homeland in a parallel world. When these creatures appeared, he did not immediately attack, but carefully observed for more than half a month, distinguishing between the violent and peaceful Pokémon. Start focusing on monitoring high-risk Pokémon to prevent them from causing harm to human society. He even saw in the memory of the 3D dragon that many national teams were trying to tame those gentle Pokémon. Even if raised, it cannot be eaten. The attack measures taken by foreign countries were directly used as negative teaching materials. Pokémon, who were frightened and attacked, identified them as bad people, and a large number of people were injured and killed. Many cities have been damaged and suffered heavy economic losses. After that, Pokémon retreated directly to the black hole, and the shells of M country would only lose their effectiveness at the location where the black hole descended, causing the two sides to hate each other at this distance. There aren't many Pokémon in the black hole over there, the 3D dragon suddenly spoke up. The will of the earth discovered the difficulties of those creatures and promptly opened up protection areas and connecting channels. Now, all channels around the world will be opened up, and most elves will go to peaceful countries. After thinking for a moment, Zhou Fan took out his phone and started sending a message to the leader who had given him his business card before, directly explaining to him the information that 3D Dragon had just said. The leader who received the message. Since that's the case, the next thing to prepare for is quite simple. The leader, led by them, summarized the lengthy meeting. Let agronomists study the planting and cultivation of those fruits, and one day let those fruits appear in every corner of the flower country, creating the best living environment for those upcoming Pokémon. Record Zhou Fan's popular science at any time. As he said, Pokémon will become an important part of human life. Study relevant laws immediately. For a better tomorrow. By the time Zhou Fan finished using more than 20 types of Pokémon balls, the sky had already darkened. But he didn't turn off the screen either, he just chatted with everyone like this. The fierce bite of the land shark peeled back a few branches, spewed out a small flame in its mouth to light the firewood, and then caught a few fish to peel scales. The skilled technique made the people in front of the screen envy and cry. Is this the tiger in the heart sniffing the rose? Just want a male mother. I'm going to find out if there's a strong bite of a land shark. Zhou Fan looked at the screen strangely. What are you talking about? Lai Bite Lu Shark is a girl. What? Not bad either. An unimaginable path. What are you doing upstairs? Surprisingly, it's a mother. Pokémon must have gender differences, of course. Otherwise, how would they reproduce? Are they divided? Zhou Fan poked the screen, speechless. It seems like those tyrannosaurs. This. The blue-bearded Tyrannosaurus is male, while the white-bearded Tyrannosaurus is female. Biting the fins of male land sharks will have a dent, while females will not. The host's dog bit my house and fiercely bit the land shark. Do we need to get vaccinated against rabies? A barrage suddenly appeared in the middle and flashed through, causing Zhou Fan to widen his eyes. Sleeping slot. Which bull man can own a strong biting land shark now? What? Did you get bitten by a dog? How is your dog doing? Chapter 9. Cangxu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's the first time I've heard the anchor using vulgar language. What happened? Was it bitten by a dog? Someone has the same Pokémon as the anchor. Zhou Fan had a strange expression on his face, causing the 3D dragon to exert some power and connect with the audience who claimed to have a strong bite of a land shark in the video. Seeing Zhou Fan's connection request, the audience was a bit surprised. He immediately chose to agree, and everyone's screens were divided into two parts. This face. This figure. It's a pity not to become a celebrity. Does handsome guy still lack a girlfriend? Do you think your boyfriend is okay? At the moment the screen was displayed, the audience was all impressed by the handsome expression on their faces. His sword eyebrows were thick and black, and his black and bright eyes were like a starry night. His delicate features were full of vitality, without any hint of feminine charm. He looked like a cold jade gentleman, with a hint of toughness in his elegance. What a handsome guy. Zhou Fan was also shocked by his handsome demeanor and immediately reacted, "Hello, I have some things to confirm. Can you show me your fierce biting land shark?" Of course. The man in front of the screen was a bit puzzled, but he still responded. The screen moved at his speed, and the audience was once again amazed by the decorations in the man's home. Is that painting? The one that was shot in the news for 10 million yuan before. Imitation. Two maids opened the door, and in the center of the huge and luxurious room, a fierce biting land shark was resting on a soft cushion, with many plush toys scattered around. After the man entered, several maids brought exquisite food to the fiercely biting land shark. Excuse me. Do you still lack Pokémon? If there is no shortage, will there be a shortage of sons? If there is no shortage of sons, will there be a shortage of daughters? I can be a maid. Zhou Fan was simply stunned by the living environment of this fiercely biting land shark, and he lived it so well. As one of the quasi-gods, the fierce biting land shark is being kept in this kind of greenhouse for the first time. No, I can't be seen by my own fierce biting land shark. Zhou Fan silently walked away from the fierce biting land shark with the scream. What? If you have money. The fierce biting land shark is actually more suitable for volcanic environments or tropical deserts. Zhou Fan spoke with some helplessness. You should also know that Pokémon can be strong or weak, but their strength can actually be enhanced through exercise. Someone once defeated the Tyrannosaurus Rex with a Carp King. Before the audience could be shocked, Zhou Fan explained, but there are always certain races that are inherently more powerful than ordinary creatures and are destined to stand at the top of the pyramid. Originally referred to as the late bloomers of Pokémon, they had a long period of infancy, but as long as they reached adulthood, they possessed the power comparable to that of gods. Some people also say that they are the most powerful beings under God, so they are also known as quasi-gods. And the fierce biting land shark is the best among the quasi-gods. Really? Comparable to the power of gods. Isn't my focus right? Are the gods in the parallel world also Nuwa and Hou-yi? Is there really such a powerful force? So powerful yet able to be tamed and become companions. Isn't that invincible? Too dangerous. The anchor is deceiving people. The leader who was called back halfway home. There's no end to it, they also need to rest, like this quasi-god, ordinary animals cannot cause harm to them, and the energy that these creatures need to consume in their daily lives is also enormous. Zhou Fan's eyes drifted for a moment and said, currently, only fruits in special environments can provide energy. Human food can only provide trace amounts of energy and requires a large amount of consumption. Now it seems that the skin's glossiness is also good. After Zhou Fan introduced the definition of quasi-god, the man with a strange expression couldn't help but ask, "Thank you, the anchor. I will communicate with the country whether it is possible to go to those special environments." So, is it the same for the newborn of Pokémon? Zhou Fanren was all dumbfounded. He turned his head and carefully looked at the fiercely biting land shark. Suddenly, his mind had an incredible answer. She's a mother, did she still give birth? What kind of chosen child are you? Good guy, buy one get one free. Still that kind of powerful. How much is it? Sell it to me. The man nodded and said, yes, it just hatched yesterday, but it doesn't seem to be breastfeeding, so I can only feed it formula according to normal organisms. Zhou Fan rubbed his forehead. This should be the first Pokémon cub in the world so far. If you don't mind, please tell me the address and I'll go help you. It's not easy to deal with the quasi-god cub. Thank you very much, there are still two that I don't know how to handle. Also. Alzius, what are you asking me for? Find him. A barrage of introductions drifted out in time. Found. This person is the third son of the second richest man in Asia, Cangxu, 26 years old, currently serving as. Anyway. I'll call out Dad first. Chapter 10. Larulas. You are listening at novel full.audio. In the darkness, the biting land shark glided through the air like a meteor, creating a vibrating airflow. The scene of rapid retreat dazzled the onlookers in front of the screen. Anchor. I fainted a shark. I'm going to vomit. Zhou Fan arrived safely with his goggles at his destination, but the soldiers who were still waiting for him at the entrance of the forest were crying uncontrollably. Hello, Anchor, my name is Cangxu. Hello, I'm Zhou Fan. Do you mind if I keep the screen on? Zhou Fan was afraid he might capture some privacy footage. Of course not, in fact, I am very interested, Cangxu smiled. Has the world of technology anchors emerged? Zhou Fan is a bit awkward. He was able to do this entirely thanks to the power of Pokémon, and his own world has not even come into contact with Pokémon. Cangxu seemed to just casually say it, but before Zhou Fan could answer, he led him towards the room where Lai Baitlú Shark was located. The anchor said that although the volcanic environment cannot be achieved, the desert is still possible. I have contacted the construction company, and someone should come to build it tomorrow. He is so gentle and polite in every move, but his words make people feel cold. Zhou Fan no longer dares to see his family biting the land shark fiercely. Wait a moment. Zhou Fan stopped the maids from trying to open the door. He withdrew the strong biting land shark and pointed to Cangxu. Go ahead and explain the situation to your strong biting land shark. Explain. The situation. Cangxu looked puzzled and exchanged glances with Zhou Fan. Biting the land shark fiercely seems to recognize this place as its own territory. I'm afraid she thinks I'm an intruder. Cangxu appeared even more shocked. Wait a moment. Is it capable of normal communication with humans? Zhou Fan was even more puzzled by Cangxu's doubts. Although she can't speak, she has the intelligence of an adult human. Of course she understands. Didn't you communicate with her before? Cangxu fell silent for a strange moment. My brother also communicates with his dog's son every day. The barrage is also foolish. I really have always treated Pokémon like animals. After all, they are so similar. No, Pokémon actually have the intelligence of adult humans. Can they still be called animals? What are you thinking? Humans are also animals. Isn't Sang San Xiao's big brother the one from a financial magazine? I can't imagine that unsmiling big shot chatting with his dog. They have intelligence comparable to humans. It seems a bit eerie at first glance. Who knows if they will invade us? If it's not my race, their hearts will be different. Those who praise Pokémon should wake me up a bit. The leaders who were called back halfway home couldn't help but sigh again. Fortunately, they didn't go back, otherwise they would have to turn back halfway. Since they can communicate equally, they should also recognize our laws, right? We can search for some leaders in Pokémon. Are you talking about those quasi-gods? Zhou Fan did not pay any further attention to these friendly or rebellious remarks. The fierce biting land shark in the room, which felt the threat, had already raised its sharp forelimbs. It was only because it felt the familiar human aura still present that it did not break through the door and launch an attack. Baitlú Shark fiercely, he was the one I came to help you with. Please calm down, Cangxu spoke cautiously. He had never seen this creature show such a sharp attitude before. She always lies there, gentle and easily manipulated. Until now, he had put on this kind of combat posture, and the piercing deterrence had almost turned into a physical entity, hitting Zhou Fan head-on and head-on. It was only then that Cangxu realized what power the so-called quasi-god represented. He could feel the momentum of biting the land shark fiercely only aimed at Zhou Fan alone, but he could feel such a powerful force even when it was effective, let alone Zhou Fan who was being concentrated and attacked. Zhou Fan's fingers lightly pressed against a fairy ball behind his waist, forming a green light shield with a semicircular shape around his body. All the momentum of the external charge disappeared invisibly. Lalu. A soft murmur came from behind the fiercely biting land shark, and then a little white-clothed man with green hair emerged. What is this? It's so cute. It looks a bit like a child. Transformation. The fiercely biting land shark saw Larulas and its eyes instantly changed, retracting its outward momentum. The two maids had already collapsed to the ground, and Cangxu barely supported the wall, looking shaky. Larulas. I see. No wonder such a ferocious bite land shark would accept Cangxu. Perhaps besides wanting to lay eggs in a safe place, there is also a reason for Larulas. Bite land shark trusts Larulas's ability, which is why it resides in Cangxu's home. Is this child named Larulas? What is his ability? It is a Pokémon with superpowers that can use the horns on its head to sense people's emotions. Upon hearing Zhou Fan's popular science, netizens started to laugh again. Is superpower the one I understand? It's a bit unbelievable. Where is it unbelievable? Those who spray water, spit fire, and float leaves have been seen in the news. These magical creatures have been around for so long, no matter what happens again, I think it's reasonable. Zhou Fan glanced at Cangxu and said, I think I felt your kindness, that's why I chose your home. Plus, who can afford to spend so much money on them to eat and play, and provide such a safe environment? Cangxu was somewhat moved, it was really not in vain that he threw in the money. Money can make ghosts grind, just like Pokémon. The ancients never deceived me. After sensing Zhou Fan's thoughts, Larulas hid in a corner that no one could see, and his mouth flattened in grievance.